2025 brings another thrilling zombie blockbuster. These zombies move lightning fast, capable of chasing down planes during takeoff. Some have even evolved basic intelligence. Using their heightened sense of smell, they track targets across vast distances and strategize to breach fortified human strongholds. Enough said, let's begin. A boy watches cartoons at home when the broadcast signal cuts out. Emergency news flashes. An unknown virus erupts worldwide. After minutes or days of incubation, victims invariably transform into frenzied beasts. The highly contagious virus topples city after city. As the boy stares transfixed, noises echo from upstairs. He cautiously investigates, only to find his sister playing a prank. Their father video calls from duty outside, urging his wife to take the children to relatives in the suburbs. The zombie virus has reached their city. Seeing her father wearing the lucky bracelet she crafted, young Abby smiles. Her mother finishes packing. Terrified by distant screams, she hurries outside with both children. As they reach their car, an infected person tackles them. Abby scrambles under the vehicle, witnessing her brother's brutal death. Trembling in terror, she finally emerges to check, only to find her mother transformed into a mindless zombie. As it closes in, gunshots ring out. A stranger appears, saving Abby from certain doom. He tells the girl to cover her ears. Before ending her infected brothers, 10 years flew by, and human society had collapsed, turning Abby, once a little girl, had grown into a young woman. Trained by Cassius, she became a fierce jungle warrior. Having lived in the wilderness for years, Abby longed for community life. Her greatest wish was to find a human settlement. But Cassius dreamed of an isolated island far from the mainland. Late that night, Cassius was jolted awake by the perimeter alarm. He crept out cautiously to investigate. A zombie lunged from the shadows, but Cassius shot it down. Their hearts sank, knowing zombies travel in packs. There must be more nearby. Before dawn, they packed up and prepared to move. Suddenly, the horses whinnied. Cassius sensed danger and moved closer. They scanned the area and spotted a jeep surrounded by zombies in the distance. Cassius wanted to avoid trouble, but Abby fired unexpectedly. Reluctantly, he finished off the remaining zombies. They rode closer to the jeep. They wouldn't pass up the chance to scavenge supplies. Cassius spotted shoes on a corpse and swapped them. Then he heard a radio crackle from the car. Realizing the dead had companions, Cassius planned to... But suddenly, several trucks charged in. Armed survivors surrounded them. Someone found Cassius's old shoes, accusing them of being ruthless scavengers. As tensions mounted, a pregnant woman stepped out, pleading to spare Abby and Cassius. Then, the black horse sounded the alarm again. Suddenly, a roar echoes from the distant jungle. Hordes of zombies swarm into the valley from all directions. Trapped with no escape, they draw weapons and fight back desperately. An intelligent female zombie stands motionless, observing her companion's violent assault. Without terrain advantage, survivors start falling quickly. A burly man gets bitten and tries to shoot himself, but finds his gun empty of bullets. Abby carefully helps the pregnant woman into the jeep while Cassius fights retreat. He casually eliminates the intelligent female zombie, then guns the engine through the zombie encirclement. A dark-faced zombie spots the dead female zombie. Meanwhile, Cassius escapes with the pregnant woman and her husband, evading them. After questioning them, he learns this group was heading to a survivor camp called Boat Town. Abby's heart leaps. This is the community she's longed for. After locating it, Cassius prepares to drive there. But their vehicle breaks down en route. The husband introduces himself as David, a professional mechanic. But without parts, the jeep's beyond repair. Forced to proceed on foot, they follow mountain roads to Abby's birthplace. Skyscrapers stand eerily silent in the... Cassius secures an open building for overnight shelter. Confirming safety, they light a fire and settle down. Abby's curiosity about Boat Town grows. The pregnant woman Megan had contacted Shiptown by radio earlier. As the name suggests, Shiptown is made of several large vessels lashed together, isolated from land, making it extremely secure. With abundant food and water, it's practically the promised land for survivors. Abby's eyes lit up, but Cassius wasn't convinced. With that spare time, he'd rather set up more alert and explosive traps outside. After finishing, Cassius laid out the plan. He'd escort Megan and her husband part way. Then they'd go separate ways. His destination was a port in the opposite direction. Embarrassed, Abby confronted Cassius privately, demanding why they wouldn't go to Ship Town together. Cassius remained clear-headed. More people meant greater danger. Unable to grasp human nature's dark side, Abby fought with Cassius and stormed upstairs to take watch alone. Unbeknownst to them, the black-faced zombie had tracked their abandoned vehicle by scent. Clearly, this zombie leader had a vendetta against Cassius. Next morning, as Abby flipped through childhood photos, rustling trees downstairs signaled zombies breaching defenses. Rushing to warn others, she encountered zombies midway, but evaded one pursuer with quick reflexes. Losing balance, she was saved as Cassius reappeared, defusing the crisis once more. Moments later, the black-faced zombie arrived with minions. They triggered preset traps. Hearing explosions, Cassius tensed. He knew a horde was targeting them. Suddenly, Abby recalled a nearby civilian airport. As a kid, his father often took him here to play. Maybe there's still a plane left. It could save us several days of travel. Though Cassius saw a little hope, he couldn't resist Abby's persistent pleas. So he agreed to check it out. After a short walk, the civilian airport Abby mentioned came into view. To their great disappointment, the place was completely barren. Not a single plane in sight, but Abby wasn't ready to give up. He remembered his father had purchased a private hangar, now disguised as a small hill. It looked incredibly well hidden. Using the old method to open the door, his father's small plane was indeed still inside. Abby flashed a triumphant smile. He'd finally proved Cassius wrong. However, the plane hadn't been used in years. Mechanic David insisted it needed a thorough check. Cassius and Abby took up watch duty in a distant high-rise, but they barely settled in when they spotted an overwhelming horde of zombies rushing toward them. Cassius sprinted back to warn Megan and her husband. "We take off in 3 minutes." Even if with zombies closing in fast, Abby pushed aside distractions and somehow started the plane using fragmented childhood memories. But by then, hordes of zombies were already swarming the runway. Moving like Olympic sprinters, they were gaining terrifying ground. Cassius shot a zombie climbing the roof, while Abby finally mastered the controls and lifted the plane steadily skyward. The black-faced zombie king gazed upward with unsettlingly complex emotions. Relief washed over the passengers. Soon they'd reach Boat Town. But suddenly, black smoke erupted from the tail before the plane plummeted straight. Luckily, they weren't too high up. Thanks to the tree's cushioning, all four only suffered superficial wounds. The plane was beyond repair, forcing them to continue on foot. Unknowingly, they arrived at an abandoned train station. Finding no zombies nearby, the harbor and Ship Town lay beyond the mountains, so the four could still travel together for some distance. After settling his pregnant wife, David entered a carriage alone. He rolled up his pant leg, revealing a hideous bite scar. He'd been bitten by a zombie recently, and knowing he'd eventually turn, David considered ending it with his gun. But thoughts of his wife's impending labor made him reconsider. Early next morning, Cassius noticed David's strange behavior. He discreetly checked David's leg and instantly recognized the zombie bite. But with Abby urgently calling them forward, he had to abandon, confronting David immediately. As dusk fell, they unexpectedly discovered a farmhouse ahead. Cassius cautiously approached, rifle ready, when a speaker blared warnings. Confirming occupants, Abby stepped forward, declaring peaceful intentions. Mentioning their pregnant companion, the owner's vigilance vanished as he confiscated their weapons, then warmly invited them inside. Unexpectedly, he'd installed solar power and rainwater filtration systems. Abby finally enjoyed a hot shower, and Cassius charged his laptop. One showing her pregnancy. After viewing them, Cassius approached Megan, announcing his change plan. He'd escort her to Ship Town first, then continue to the harbor with Abby. Just then, the owner brought drinks for everyone. It had been ages since they last enjoyed such relaxed conversation. But as they talked, they sensed something was off. The homeowner actually believed zombies were the next stage of human evolution. As apex predators, they deserved to rule the earth. Just like humans who once hunted other animals, they were stunned speechless by this radical statement. Only David felt worsening symptoms. Rushing to the bathroom, he discovered the virus had fully taken hold. Returning to the hall, David found Cassius and the others unconscious. The homeowner pressed a device switch, making David feel he collapsed to the floor. Waking later, David found himself and his companions strung up. Turns out, the homeowner drugged their drinks. His true identity was a biological risk. After years of study, he'd invented a special that could manipulate zombie behavior via low-frequency signals. Cassius and the others were perfect, unwilling test subjects. He then opened a cage behind him, containing his long-infected wife and twisted. The zombie lunged obediently toward Cassius, but David broke free using his viral strength. Resisting the device's control, he freed the others. The scientist fled instantly, vanishing without a trace. Cassius commandeered a car outside, driving everyone into dense jungle. But the scientist wouldn't relent. He mobilized zombie hordes via his device. Cassius accelerated until a fallen tree blocked their path. Now, they'd have to make their escape on motorcycles. David knew time was running out and decided to stay behind. After a brief exchange with his wife, he charged decisively into the zombie horde. Unfortunately, this only delayed the zombies' pursuit. Cassius fought while retreating with Megan in his arms. Just as zombies were about to overtake them, they spotted a human outpost. Abby guessed this must be their destination. Hearing the commotion, the guards at the outpost opened fire, picking off the pursuing zombies. The leading black-faced zombie halted its subordinates from giving chase, since the waterway ahead was an impassable barrier. Soon after, Cassius and the others reached the camp center by boat. Megan's water broke. She needed urgent medical care. Fortunately, dedicated doctors and medical facilities were available. Early the next morning, the two surveyed the entire camp. Several large ships interlinked, forming a vast platform isolated from land. Cassius finally met the camp leader. He welcomed them to settle there, but stressed they must follow strict rules. Without hesitation, Cassius turned to leave, preferring the freedom of their deserted island. But Abby was determined to stay, yearning for a life with peers her age. Their argument grew heated when a doctor rushed in with news. Megan had given birth to a daughter, but was critically weakened by blood loss, and might not survive long. Cassius's heart sank. He hurried to the ward where Megan was barely clinging to life. She entrusted her newborn daughter to Cassius, hoping she could grow up like Abby. Haunted by the memory of his late wife, Cassius finally agreed, knowing this meant another weighty responsibility. Meanwhile, Abby, with a handsome boy as her guide, was discovering unprecedented joys of community life. She had never imagined a group indulging in drinks, singing and dancing to stunning music. Her resolve to stay grew even stronger. After the celebration, Abby spotted the handsome guy sneaking into the cabin. A wireless switch particularly conspicuous. Just then the guy rushed to explain they'd planted explosives under Shiptown. Should the town fall, residents would escape through hidden tunnels and reduce it to ashes. Neither expected this day would come so soon. The house owner's burning hatred led him to ally with the black-faced zombie king via control device. With human-like intelligence, Shiptown's water barrier became useless. Zombies flooded the camp via underwater routes and hijacked boats. Caught off guard, guards suffered heavy losses instantly. Stripped of terrain advantage, residents became zombie prey. Cassius fought against the fleeing crowd searching for Abby, cutting through zombies as he advanced. Finally spotting Abby battling on deck. Distracted, he was knocked overboard by a zombie. The house owner appeared triumphantly, seizing his revenge chance. But Cassius fought back, smashing the arm holding the fragile device, instantly losing zombie control powers. The old man was swiftly consumed. Fortunately, the camp had an escape plan. Many survivors reached the riverbank via tunnels. As they prepared to detonate, the guy shouted, "Wait, Abby's still aboard." While escaping, Cassius knocked the zombie king overboard with an oar. Abby catches sight of the bracelet. "Isn't this the very bracelet I crafted for my father?" But the girl has no time to dwell on it. Dragged by Cassius into the tunnel, the handsome boy sees them escape and instantly triggers the detonator. Damn. But their battle isn't over. The camp leader staggers forward, clutching his neck. He'd been bitten earlier in the fight, before the dark-faced zombie king tackles him mid-transformation. Against all odds, the zombie king survived the blast. Cassius immediately engages him. Abby grabs the fallen pistol, recognized is actually her father, the man who raised her. While Cassius faces mortal danger, Abby makes her choice, firing at the dark-faced zombie king. He ceased being her father long ago. Cassius leads the survivors, gazing at the distant island. They'll establish a new haven there.